Hey, welcome back to the New England Endurance Podcast, where we celebrate the endurance community here in New England. I'm your host, Art Tripotsis, along with Eric Schenker. And today, this episode, we're talking about how endurance sports can change lives for the better.
That's right. Today, we're bringing in a really unique episode. We've talked to elite athletes, race directors, endurance clubs of all types. But today, we're exploring how running can be much more than just PRs and podiums. It can really change lives. I'm really excited that today we're joined by Jen Hyde, who is the New England director for Back on My Feet. Back on My Feet is an organization that uses running as a starting point to help individuals experiencing homelessness regain confidence, stability, and economic independence. Jen has spent years at the intersection of sport and social change, previously working with Reebok and Special Olympics. And she's here to share how endurance sports can be a powerful tool for transformation. It's quite a welcome. And Jen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, great to meet you, Jen. Let's start with the basics. So you're based out of Boston, correct?
Correct. Yes, I am based in Boston. I oversee our program in the Boston chapter and then a lot of our cities along the East Coast.
Awesome. So for those that aren't familiar with Back on Your Feet, how does the program work? What's the mission?
Yeah, so Back on My Feet, we empower people to achieve economic independence through fitness and community. And what our model does is it demonstrates that if you first restore confidence and self-esteem and strength, individuals are better equipped to kind of tackle the road ahead and the barriers they're going to face.
And you do something with workforce training as well, right?
Yes. So how the program works in general is we work with individuals experiencing homelessness who are experiencing homelessness and or struggling with addiction. We're meeting them in a place where they are in either a transitional shelter or a residential recovery program, meaning that they have anywhere from 3 to 6 months where they have a bed to lay their head at night and they know where their meals are coming so that we can work with them at a higher level on that employment perspective. And so it starts with a commitment to walking and or running with us in the morning. And we meet 3 mornings a week. We get outside and really capitalize on the benefits, physical health benefits, mental health benefits that go along with starting your day with exercise. We get everybody set up with new gear, new sneakers, new clothing, so that is not a barrier to them participating with us. And then once they have been with us for a little while, we do individual goal setting meetings with each person to figure out what they're working on. And then we work with them through our workforce development programming to build resumes, to learn about financial literacy, nutrition in early recovery and the benefits of that. We seal quarries, do a lot of different things to help support them kind of along their journey.
I mean, people might be, this is not it's a running club, but it is so much more than a running club, right? I mean, just from all of those things that you mentioned. How does one, Jen, get started, right? Can you take us, sort of from the beginning of somebody's journey being introduced to Back on My Feet?
Yeah, sure. So specifically here in Boston, we work primarily with residential recovery programs, meaning that they are coming to us because they're in a program for roughly 6 months and struggling with substance use disorder. And so we have 10 partners here in Boston that we work with that we are communicating with on a regular basis. And so that's where we'll meet people. We'll meet them when they are in their early phases of their recovery journey at the shelter or the residential treatment center. And that's where it's optional. They decide, they have to be willing to do it. I'm walking in, it's February or March, whatever. I walk in and I tell people to come outside with me 3 mornings a week at 5:45 a.m. and come and walk and run with me. And a lot of people are giving me looks like, not too sure about that. And then there's a crew that are like, yeah, sign me up. And that's where it starts. And so it starts with the community building. It starts with that, the exercise, the runs, the walks. And then it depends on the individual. We have some folks who will come and be with us for a couple months and then they'll find a job and it may interfere with their times that we run and we walk and, we keep in touch, but that's that. We have alumni who have been with us for 10 plus years where the running is a big component in their recovery and their success. And They're qualifying for Boston. They're doing all these amazing things now. And it all started with barely being able to jog telephone pole to telephone pole when they first met.
So how do they go from showing up, walking, running to achieving, I guess, financial independence or just sustainable employment?
Yeah, so we have our workforce development program offers a variety of different things, but we do a lot of stuff individually because each of our members is kind of on a different path, and we will sit with them to talk about their goals. What are they looking to work on? We will then, build resumes, edit resumes, update resumes, do interview skills, help outfit people with a T-pass if they need a pass to get to and from work for their first month. Try to remove a lot of the barriers that our members are facing in obtaining employment.
But to be clear, right, to get all of those incredible benefits, they have to be making a commitment to come out and walk and run. Can you talk a little bit about that commitment?
Yeah, so all of the benefits are back on my feet are contingent upon showing up in the morning. We take attendance at all of our morning walks, all of our morning runs. And if you want to get the new member gear package, if you want to come and join us for our workshops, if you want to access our financial aid program, you have to be maintaining proper attendance. You have to be showing up and really engaging in all aspects of the program because that's how our program works. There are a lot of workforce development programs here in Boston. There are a lot of run clubs here in Boston. What we do is kind of the intersection of both of them, where we build the community and the connection while also supporting the individual along their journey to help remove some of those barriers so that they can continue on their path.
That's great. Jen, simple question. Why running? What is it that you think, or what is it that the origins of Back on My Feet believe that endurance sports can make such a powerful impact and be a catalyst for their confidence, trust, and quite frankly, rebuilding lives, right? Like why endurance sports and why running?
Yeah. So the morning circles, the runs, the walks, that's where our members are making the connection. It's where the community is built. It's where there's those little moments and little successes that can then transition into the rest of their lives. So we have a new member who shows up and he or she can barely make it a half a lap around the track. A week later, they're making it 2 laps. A week after that, they're jogging their first straightaway, which leads to their first lap, which leads to their miracle mile, the first mile that they run with Back on My Feet. Those moments, those little wins, those opportunities to feel self-confidence and feel proud of themselves. And we celebrate all of those in a big way. There are high five tunnels. There are all sorts of things that we are celebrating. We have a whole program about mileage incentives where we keep track of everybody's miles. And every other month, we're hosting all team runs to celebrate those. You hit 5 miles, here's your wristband. You hit 25 miles, you get a big Back on My Feet t-shirt that says 25 miles and counting. And so we do a lot on our end to celebrate those small wins on the track, on the pavement, wherever it is that we're running. So that then when an individual walks into an interview, they can look the interviewee in the eye. They can feel confident that they not only are capable of that job, but they deserve that job. They are worthy of that job. Those small wins on the track have then transitioned into someone's ability to walk into an interview with confidence. And that's the difference. It starts on the track and it transitions into everyday life.
I'm so fired up. I mean, you're just talking about, I think everybody listening to this podcast feels that way, right? And I can only imagine how impactful that could be for somebody that's really trying to get their life back on track. So super inspiring, Jen.
Yeah, just building on that, Jen, you've been in the Boston chapter for, I think, about 6 years now. Is there a success story about an individual or someone you can think of that went from just showing up to achieving economic stability?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of folks that have come through our program. Again, we use the term alumni for individuals who have obtained employment, obtained housing, and are now kind of, living on their own. So we have a lot of alumni within the program that still keep in touch. One of my favorite, it was the first member that I worked with when I started. So he's always going to be special to me. But he was someone who, I think he spoke 4 or 5 languages. And he had always had just jobs as like a truck driver or this or that. And he ended up asking for support with taking a medical translating certification program. And Back on My Feet helped him with that. We helped to pay for that class. He took it and he is now making quality money that he needs to make to support his family. He has a son and a wife in Florida, and he's reunited with them. He's been working as a medical translator. He has helped out schools in translating and just done amazing things with that job that have been able to keep him in his sobriety and moving forward and reuniting with his family and doing all those amazing things that you want to get back to.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, Jen, maybe we could actually go back just a minute, though, and sort of frame maybe the homelessness or recovery situation here in New England and specifically in Boston, right? So we didn't really talk about the size and scope of Back on My Feet. So maybe you could talk about the size of the program, but also I think it's important to maybe frame the situation in Boston or however you measure it, if it's New England or if it's Boston specifically, like how many people are transitioning in homelessness? How many people are in these sort of recovery programs?
Yeah. So in nationwide, there's roughly 770,000 people experiencing homelessness. Massachusetts, it's 29,000. And here in Boston, there's about 5,700 people as of, statistics for 2024 that are considered homeless. Here in Back on My Feet, so last year nationwide, we served about 1,400 people. We had about 1,400 people come through our program across all 16 chapters that we operate in. Roughly 870 of those got employment. In Boston specifically, we had 150 people come through our program. 84 of those people at the end of the year had obtained sustainable employment and were kind of working their way back into society and kind of back on their path.
Some great stats.
That's incredible.
Do you feel like you're achieving your goals as an organization? Would you like to impact more folks, or are you exceeding them?
I feel like I would love to impact more people. We're limited based on staffing capacity. It takes, staff and resources, as with any nonprofit, to do more. We don't ever turn anybody down from joining our program. We have specific recruitment meetings and times that we add people. I have yet to get to a point where I'm going to say no to somebody, just because if you want to come out and join us, like we're not going to stop you. We will figure out a way to do it. If I had more staff and more resources, I would do a whole lot more outreach within the Boston community. Right now, most of the people who join us are coming to us. Like, we have built a reputation that is strong enough that members are coming to find us if they are not in one of the many facilities that we work with. If I could have more staffing capacity, more resources, we could do more outreach within the community. And, in and around New England, there are so many other cities in Massachusetts, in New Hampshire, all around New England that could benefit from the Back on My Feet program. We're just not in a space to be able to do it the way that we need to do it and serve the population properly.
Yeah, we talk a lot on this podcast about how sort of let's say the New England values of resilience and toughness and supporting our own and charity, right? We interviewed Dave McGilvery, and he really focused on how charitably focused people in New England are. How has, and let's all agree that Boston is probably the greatest running city, I think, with the Boston Marathon in the United States. How has the Boston running community embraced Back on My Feet?
The running community here is amazing. I mean, local run clubs have been super supportive of Back on My Feet, whether it is the Somerville Roadrunners opening up their 26x1 to us and allowing our members to come and run alongside some amazing runners, Heartbreakers. They have supported us with so many volunteers, some of which who have been with us for years and years and years. Local running sporting goods brands have, I've found their reps within the local community, and they'll donate their sneakers to us so that we can provide our members with brand new pairs of sneakers. Races donate bibs to us so that we can have our members participate in races that the running community is part of. There's so much support within Boston and kind of the extended community. It's amazing. We couldn't do what we do without all of that support and resources that is provided.
Yeah, I gotta give Somerville Roadrunners in particular a shout out. That's where I was first introduced to Back on My Feet. You mentioned the 26x1 relay that we've talked about on this podcast. In my previous world, I was launching footwear for a sportswear brand, and I reached out. I knew some members at Somerville, and I said, "Hey, could I come out to this event and demo shoes?" And they were like, "No problem. Come on out to this event." Right? All these running clubs are going to be there. And I was like, awesome. Like, how much? And they said, we don't want any money. We want you to make a donation to Back on My Feet. That's Somerville Roadrunners, I think, in a nutshell, right? And I met them. And then what I would also say, Jen, is I met a lot of runners from Back on My Feet. And what I was also extremely proud of was how proud they were. They were very clear. I am here with Back on My Feet. I am in recovery, or I'm like, there was no, I don't want to use the word shame, right? But I think it's important that they were so proud of what they were accomplishing and coming out to this event. And they were so proud of being a part of Back on My Feet. So I'm getting kind of like choked up talking about it, but that was my first introduction, and a big shout out to Somerville Roadrunners. I wouldn't have known about the organization without them. And I think they are huge proponents. And I have no doubt Heartbreakers is equally there, as well as many other run clubs in the Boston area supporting this incredible organization. So I just wanted to make sure I give a good shout out to SRR as part of it.
Running is this great kind of level playing field. Like, we show up and we're no different from all of these other like super wild, fast teams. Like, our members, we start when the gun goes off, and our members are doing laps around the track alongside everybody else. And the Somerville Roadrunners, it is my favorite event of the year, because every year, without fail, our members, just as you said, I see at least one or two of them connecting with someone from another run club that comes up and just says, "Hey, I'm celebrating 10 years in recovery, next week. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Running has been an important part of my life." And there's that connection of the running, the recovery of, like, we got this. You can do this. And it's amazing to watch and to be able to be a part of. And also, they donate a portion of their proceeds back to us. So we get the benefit of fundraising and participating in this amazing race.
Yeah, that warms my heart. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we started this podcast. We wanted to, originally wanted to showcase these clubs and these events, but also the adjacent communities and the charitable organizations. So, I feel lucky that we were able to interview both Somerville and Heartbreak, and now to have you on the podcast as well. It kind of comes around full circle. If someone was listening to this right now, how could they get involved, whether it's by joining or running or volunteering or donating their
Yes. So we have 3 teams here in Boston. We have a team that meets in Lower Alston, a team that meets on the Roxbury South End line, and then a team that meets at Franklin Park. All 3 of those teams run and walk 3 mornings a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning, from 5:45 a.m. to 6:30. Those teams are comprised of volunteers and members who are the participants in our program. And we are always looking for new volunteers. There's no criteria for it. We have volunteers from all walks of life, all different lived experiences. Just come out and run and walk alongside our members. You can find the information on our website. So it's backonmyfeet.org. You can go there. There is a link that says, like, get and volunteer with us. You go through all the volunteer orientation. Eventually you'll get routed to me and I will talk you through the rest of it. But that is probably our biggest need, is we're just looking for people. Right now it's the winter. And so our numbers are a little bit lower. Our teams are anywhere from, like, our largest team probably has about 20 people coming out. In the summer, that team blows up to like 40, 50 people. And so we are always looking for volunteers to come in and join us and be part of our community.
If the fact that you get 20 people in the dead of winter in New England to come out, who are obviously facing a lot of challenges in their life, if that doesn't speak to the resilience and the grit of New England endurance community, I really don't know what else does. So I think it's incredibly inspiring, Jen. I know I've said that before, and I'll probably say it a couple more times, but it really is something that knocks my socks off. Are there specific events that happen throughout the year? Is there anything upcoming, specific focus that is sort of a milestone event, or is it just kind of constant, like you said, Miracle Mile, first 10K or first 25, things like that?
So in May, Back on My Feet in Boston, we'll be celebrating 15 years here. So we've been here for 15 years. So that's a big one
Congrats.
for us.
Wow, that's awesome.
Very excited about that. We do an all-team run. We go out to the river. It's beautiful. We have all sorts of fun. So we have that as a big milestone coming up. And then other races that we just participate in on a regular basis. We're going this weekend to the JP Park Run. We have a few other races that are coming up and events that we have. Workforce Resource Day, where we kind of brought together a lot of those job readiness work resources that I talked about earlier. We did that about 2 weeks ago. And so it's pretty ongoing. We just see the numbers kind of increase in participants when it gets to be a little warmer, a little more daylight in the morning run.
Do you rely mostly on donations from sponsors or individuals, or do you also receive some state funding?
We do not receive any state or government funding. So we are funded by corporations, grant funding, and individual giving.
Okay. So what's one thing you wish more people understood about homelessness and maybe the role that organizations like Back on My Feet play in this community?
My biggest learning since starting with Back on My Feet was really the role that addiction and mental health play in the reasons that individuals become homeless and find themselves experiencing homelessness. I think the barriers that our members face towards getting back to that point of being able to provide for themselves and that self-sufficiency are pretty high. And there's a lot, whether it be you have a criminal background that prevents you from getting an incredible amount of jobs. I had no idea how many places of employment ran your criminal background. Never knew it until I started working here. But mental health and addiction, their role in homelessness is huge in the population. And I didn't realize that it was that high before I started working at Back on My Feet.
Yeah, I don't want to, turn this into a book talk, but I was really impacted by a book somebody suggested to me called Rough Sleepers. And that is specifically about the Boston homeless community and some of the outreach programs. So I would say, as this is the New England Endurance podcast, and I don't know if you're familiar with that book. I imagine you are, Jen, but I would say Rough Sleepers was extremely impactful and enlightening to me. Not inspiring, but very enlightening to me about not just how people find themselves in these situations, but really, again, the relevance to it being specifically about the Boston homeless community. So if folks are looking to learn a little bit more, I think that would be a really interesting book for them to read.
Yeah, it's an amazing book, and it brings the humanity into homelessness, which is often lost. And so I think the Healthcare for the Homeless does tremendous work. A lot of our members have been patients or are patients of Healthcare for the Homeless. And I really appreciate how everybody has a name, and there is a lot of humanity back within the community.
Wow, that's great. So Jen, we've covered a lot, and this is, again, very inspiring and emotional for me. And we are so thankful for you to be on the podcast, but we do need to end with our final question. And it's one that we ask all of our guests, and I'm expecting a great answer from you, okay? So, New Englanders are known for being tough, competitive, and always supporting each other. Tell us why you agree New England is the greatest endurance region in the country.
In New England, everybody loves to talk about the weather. I think mostly because it's always terrible, like most of the time, but it doesn't matter. You get out and you do your thing. Like, it's 13 degrees this morning. And I pulled up my weather app, looked at my phone, and was like, oh, great, it's 13 degrees. Well, just add another layer and let's get outside. Like, you just do it. You can be in the mountains for your breakfast, like, hike, and at the ocean for your bike ride, and then in the city having a delicious dinner. It's all in New England. You get it all, and you just do it. Get out there. Like,
and Jen, you're doing it.
No complaining.
You're running a run club for people transitioning through homeless and addiction. And they're running year-round in Boston. And that to me is the exclamation point on why this is the absolute greatest endurance region in the country. So Jen, thanks for everything that you are doing as part of Back on My Feet.
Yeah, Jen, is there anything else you'd like to mention to our listeners or plug?
No, if you want to get involved, backonmyfeet.org. Come, you will eventually get connected with me. We're always in need of volunteers. Yeah, we're out there.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Jen, thanks for being on the New England Endurance podcast. We're really grateful that you came out and shared this conversation with us. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm happy to have the opportunity. I will talk to anybody about Back on My Feet and share what we're doing. So appreciate being here.
Yes, thanks, Jen. It's incredible to hear how endurance sports can truly change lives. I also want to thank our sponsors, Lark Fine Foods, a 100% women-owned specialty food company that makes delicious cookies, and The Everyday Athlete, a book about balancing work, family, and fitness. And for those that want to learn more about Back on My Feet, as Jen mentioned, you can go to backonmyfeet.org. You can also follow them on Instagram at Back on My Feet, Facebook as well, and we'll tag them on LinkedIn as well. So don't forget to subscribe to the New England Endurance Podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, etc. And until next time, keep pushing your limits, drop some hammers, and get out there and enjoy the beautiful terrain of New England.
Volunteer, right? Let's add volunteer to that list. Thanks, Jen. Thank you so much.